Good evening and welcome to the ME7 Podcast. The Gills, they read us back in and hope that we are going to stay up after Friday's 2-2 draw at Cheltenham. And then we get brought crashing back down to earth after a 0-0 draw to Fleetwood Town this afternoon. Tonight I'm joined by, obviously, Owen. I think James Clew is going to try and join us in a little bit. But, Owen, let's get straight into it, Em. What did you make of this afternoon?
I think it was one of those games where it's clear to see why both sides are where they are in the table, I think is the best way of putting it. I think it was just a game of such low quality. I think two teams who, as I say, are where they are for a reason. I don't think Fleetwood really came here looking to get anything other than a point, and fair enough, they've got it. Obviously, the added caveat for them is they've got to play another relegation rival, Wimbledon, in a few days. So I suppose from their point of view, they may be thinking 4 points is a good return. Get the tough one, which would be us, out of the way, and then go and play Wimbledon. But for us, it really was a case of win or bust, I think. And if we'd held on Friday afternoon against Cheltenham, then maybe it wouldn't have been the worst point in the world. But I think given that we didn't, and now we've struggled to beat a team who, to be honest, are probably the poorest team I've seen in a very long time at Priestfield is a bit of a damning indictment of where we are, and a bit of a reality check, I suppose. As much as we all like to get carried away about the chance of survival, I think today was a massive point in the wrong direction. Because I think we now have games against Portsmouth, who, people might say have nothing to play for, but they're still going to want to win, because why wouldn't you? And then our other side, who would be kind of Priestfield, looking to either tie up promotion or potentially even try and mammoth a late strike for the title, and it's going to be one of them where it might end up being relegation versus promotion at the end of it. But I think we're gonna be relying on a lot of other results and hoping that we can somehow pick up at least one win out of the two, because I don't think two draws will be enough. I think we need to win one of them and then just see what happens. But yeah, I think it might be one of those games we look back on in a couple of weeks and think that was the nail in the coffin, if you like.
James, can we hear you or not? No, I can't. We can't hear you. Can't hear you. We'll keep trying throughout this evening. Maybe joining on your phone. That might be a better option. Joining on your phone. That might be a better option. We'll bring you back in, James. Owen, let's go back to Friday then. Did you manage to go up there? Did you manage to go on Friday?
Yep.
Okay, but we've obviously seen plenty of the highlights and things like that, and we've spoken to plenty of people. Looking in reflection, after being ahead twice, what was it? 2 points dropped?
I think when you're in front twice in a game, it's always 2 points dropped, no matter who you're playing against. I think it's one of them where we've scored 2 good goals and conceded 2 really poor ones. I think the first one, we let a guy run all the way down the wing without a challenge. He gets in, it's a safe Marin Chapman, but he palms out into the wrong area and it's an easy finish. And the second one, we lose 2 headers from a set piece, and I think that's the first goal we've conceded from a set piece under Neil Harris. It's not something we're renowned for, whatever, but it's another really poor goal to concede. And I think it's gonna be one of those sort of games, I think, that may determine where we are coming into the season. Look back to the late goal at Sunderland, where we couldn't hold on for a point, and Friday again, where we couldn't hold on for all 3, which would have made a massive difference. For the reflection of today's draw as well, would have been a bit more uplifting in atmosphere, I suppose, in this podcast, given that we got 4 points at the Easter period, but as it is, it's 2. And it's just, I think our failure to get results when we've been in the good positions to see them out is going to be something that's going to come back in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll be looking to those sort of games. The game today, the Wimbledon home game, Cheltenham, Sunderland, it might just end up being that sort of scenario that ultimately sends us in the wrong direction. I do apologise. This isn't a very upbeat podcast today, but you can only deal with what you see, unfortunately.
James, can we hear you now or not?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Yes,
James Clew is here.
Awesome.
He's here. Here we go. Perfect. We can hear you. Okay. Awesome. Right, James, obviously you were at the game this afternoon.
I was.
Just give us your assessment of it.
First of all, I'll try and put a positive spin on it. I thought it was fantastic to see Priestfield packed today. Really, really good to see all those fans in there today. It really gave the place a bit of a buzz. And strangely optimistic as well. I mean, I am, as you know, James, quite a pessimist as a Gills fan, but I was very optimistic today. My dad thought we'd win 3-1. I thought we'd win. And I even spoke to a couple of others around me, and everyone seemed to think that we would do the business today. But I don't think we really turned up, to be honest with you, today. I think we were it was cagey. It was two poor teams. And the point I made today while I was chatting during the game, I think although the attitude and the mentality has obviously improved enormously under Neil Harris, I'm not entirely convinced the football is that much better than it was under Steve Evans, to be honest with you. We still seem to have this tendency to just lump it along constantly all the time. And when you get a referee like we got today, who's not going to give Verdane Oliver anything, that is a recipe for disaster. And it didn't work for us again today. I mean, what do we have? One clear-cut chance today? Not good enough. Not good enough. And I just think that I don't think we went for it. I really don't.
Yeah, frustrating one, isn't it? Because Harris has obviously done a lot of good work since he's walked through the building, and as you mentioned, I mean, I think we can look back on this weekend as this was the weekend that was going to obviously define the season, and we've walked away from the weekend with 2 nearly points, and we are. I think it's fair to put this question both to you. I mean, we'll start with you first. Are we in real trouble now?
Yeah. For the record, by the way, I said 0-0.
Did you?
Yeah.
In all honesty, I mean, are we in serious trouble of going through that trapdoor?
Yeah, I think we are. I think we will.
Really? Okay, James.
Yeah, same. I think had we won today, I think that would have been all over by the shouting, to be honest with you. But I think today's result will be a huge boost for Fleetwood, who haven't been able to buy any points recently, and that's a huge point for them today. It'll be a massive shot in the arm for them psychologically. I think you could see at the end a lot of the Gills players were down on their haunches. They felt that draw today, and it felt like a defeat. And I think, again, psychologically, knowing we've got to go into 2 really, really tough games, Portsmouth and Rotherham, it doesn't get much harder than that. I think we're in serious trouble. I think it was win or bust today for me, to be honest. I know it wasn't mathematically, but it feels like we are in deep trouble now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, James, about the football that we obviously played this afternoon under Harris, and it was kind of Steve Evans-esque as such. Do you put that down to him and the management staff, or is it a case of he's effectively has his hands tied and dealt with the cards that he's playing with?
Well, I think he alluded to it today in the pre-match talk he did, that obviously, you know, they haven't had a huge amount of time on the training ground. I don't think he's certainly not going out there and saying, right, lads, lump it long at every opportunity. I think he absolutely is hamstrung by the players that he's got. But what is frustrating is we've got a centre-back in Masterson who can play the ball out at his feet. He did it. I think I saw him do it twice today. But Jack Tucker, much as I love him, looks for the big lump every single time. Maxime are very similar, just a big diagonal every time. And don't get me wrong, there's a place in football for it, but you've got to mix it up. And we just don't mix it up enough, and we've become very predictable. And Fleetwood today they defended very, very well. They had some really, really good players in their defence today, and they were able to handle with pretty much everything we threw at them. And then, like I say, when you couple that with a referee who seemed pretty determined not to give Verdane Oliver anything at all, how can professional footballers not see that something isn't working? I don't understand that, and constantly do the same thing. You know, the only time we started to play football today was when David Chitonda came on. Yeah. And I've been one of his biggest critics, certainly earlier in the season. But the guy's been a revelation under Neil Harris, and he actually looks like he wants to get the ball down and play. And it just wasn't happening. And I think that, you know, there were several opportunities where we worked the ball out to Ryan Jackson. and it looked like he might have an opportunity to run at his defender. And again, it was just always the big lump across rather than driving into the box and taking his man on and trying to do something a bit different. And I think you're right. I think Harris is absolutely hamstrung by what he's been left with. There's no doubt about that. We are limited in quality. We know that. But these are professional footballers, James. They should be able to know when something isn't working and have the ability to actually make a few changes here and there.
Yeah. Owen, it's been a frustrating weekend though, isn't it? It's that we looked at these two games a while ago now. It was the two games that we looked at and went, we have to win those games. We have to win those games. Is it really frustrating looking back on it that we've led twice at Cheltenham? We've had big chances today. Certainly the Charlie Kelman one where the ball from Ryan Jackson is planted right on his head. And if a confident forward is at the end of that header, it's in the back of the net. We've had chances across this weekend, in fairness, to pick up 6 points. Could we look back on this weekend and think, well, if we end up going down, we've only got ourselves to blame now?
Yeah, I think we've had enough chances to get ourselves out of this. I don't think it'll be the likes of losing 7-2 at home to Bolton and 3-0 at home to Ipswich to relegate us. It'll be the fact that we've played Wimbledon and Fleetwood, who've probably won about one game between them in about 25 some games, and we've not managed to beat or score against either of them. And those are the results that are going to define your season come the end of it. And we've given both of them a point when we should have been beating them. And if they finish above us, although Wimbledon probably quite unlikely now, but if Fleetwood pip us to spot of safety, then that'll be why. And I think it's just a case of, you mentioned Chick Kelman's chance. That's the only clear-cut chance I can think of that we created today. I can't think of anything else. But he should have definitely scored it. He's managed to not only not get that good a connection on it, but head it straight to the keeper as well. And there was another chance where the ball's lofted over to him and he gets goal side of the defender and he's got a clear striker goal and he decides to fall on the floor instead and try and get a penalty, which, as you can tell, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought he was just in a great position to shoot and probably score, but he decides to go down. And then, even him, we don't have him for the rest of the season now either. So, Dixon Peters, who's got, these are the options you're dealing with at the minute. It's not the sort of options you're going to look at and think, oh, we have a chance here. The difference is between a lot of the teams down the bottom is this. You look at Morecambe, they'd be relegated long gone if it wasn't for Carl Stockton. Wimbledon don't have that kind of player. That's where they are. Doncaster the same, Crewe the same. But we're one of those teams, along with Morecambe, who have a striker in Vidane Oliver, who can score goals that can help us get out of situations, but we can't rely on him all the time to do it. And the reality is, obviously, Harris has got what he's got. And obviously, as soon as he came in, we lost Lloyd for the season. McDonald's already out for the season. Carriol's disappeared. We're probably never going to see him again. We have next to no options. That's the issue we have. And I think, you're going to have to be playing, a Norwich loanee who's not got barely any minutes since he's been here to try and help us get a good result at Portsmouth and Rotherham. But that's the reason. I think it's been our problem all season. We lack an experienced second choice striker. We just don't have it. We've had Oliver and then we've relied on loans, and Kelman didn't work out the first time. I know he puts 100% in every time, but I know he scored a couple of goals that have got us a victory as well, but it's not someone I really rely on in big moments to get us that goal. And I think that's sort of what it might come down to, as well as, throwing away results. We just don't have that second choice option. And like James says, it really is lump and hope and nothing else, because all we have is Oliver, who will win most of his aerial battles. We know that, but then you also need someone switched on next to him to know where it's going to fall and to latch onto it. And most of the time today, it was just hopeful balls forward. Oliver, not winning all of the headers, to be fair, but flicking them on into the goalkeeper's area for him to come and collect easily, or headering it the opposite direction to where Kelman's running. It just didn't seem like there was any connection today. And I just never thought, even before the send-off, I just never saw the goal come in. I didn't think they were going to score either, because they're not very good. But it just seemed to be one of those games that from the back, for about the 50th minute onwards, just looked destined for 0-0, and as it proved.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously Charlie Kelman there. Well, his afternoon ended up ending before the 90 minutes even went out. James, what did you make of the red card?
It's a really interesting incident, I thought. We were talking about it at the game today, and we said, it would make a really interesting what would you do if you were the ref situation, because I've certainly never seen that happen before in that situation. My first absolute initial instinct was both players have been very, very silly. They were both dangerous challenges. They both leapt in, studs up, for a ball that neither of them was going to get. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is to say that it was a full-blooded 50-50 from two committed players who have really gone for the ball. I think ultimately, and this might be controversial, but I think ultimately the referee made the right decision. I think it was dangerous play from both players, and therefore the red card for each was the correct decision. Where it looks a little bit of a grey area is the fact that he gave Gilles the free kick. So how does that work? Maybe we should be looking at a drop ball in that situation. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think ultimately it wasn't the wrong decision from the referee, but it was a very unique situation. And I don't blame Kelman. I think Kelman had put himself about quite a bit during the game. As Owen said, he always gives 100%. You cannot level that against him. And I think that was just a situation where he absolutely wanted to win that ball, and he was met with another guy who also wanted to win the ball equally as much. So it didn't look pretty, and I hope the guy's okay. He certainly didn't look too great coming off at the Raynham end. But a really strange situation. I thought that red card today, really strange situation.
Yeah, you mentioned about the grey area, Owen. The grey area was that he pointed for a Gilles free kick, so he must have thought that the Fleetwood player had done almost more damage to Charlie than Charlie had done to him. So does that then suggest the question is posed that Charlie's not been as forceful as the Fleetwood player? Could that have been a question posed to it, or do you agree with James that it was two dangerous challenges and Charlie ended up coming off worse?
I couldn't really tell what happened in real time. Even on the replay, I'm sort of struggling to really see who goes in first. I think what he's done is he's given us the free kick. I think he's always going to send off the Fleetwood player, and I think he's given it a second, looked at the extent of the Fleetwood player's injury, decided to send them both off. And what I will say is it takes a very brave referee to make a decision like that, because I don't think I've never seen it before. And it's sort of like scoring a goal and the offside flag coming up. You see a red card position, everyone's cheering, and you're like, oh no, hold on a minute. But it's one of them. I think I say it's one of them. I've never seen it before, but I think it probably was the right decision. I think if you're going to send one of them off, you've got to send both of them off in that situation, because I think otherwise it just doesn't look right. I think it's none. I don't think either of them got in there with any particular intent. They were just both trying to get to the loose ball. But I think Harris has said in his interview that he's going to repeat it. I don't see that being successful, but it is what it is. I think he's given us the free kick because, as I say, I think he was going to just send the Fleetwood player off at first, but then obviously decided to the extent of their injury it's going to be a red card for both, and we got the free kick from it. It would have been interesting if we'd scored from it to see what happened after that in terms of what the Fleetwood manager's reaction was, but sadly, like everything else this afternoon, it came to nothing.
Yeah, we've got a problem now, haven't we? If we don't win the appeal, and Charlie's suspended, well, obviously we're counting on effectively with Dane Oliver and Dickinson Peters, and for me, every time I've seen Dickinson Peters, in all due respect, he's not Football League ready, and so we're going into these final two games with effectively one goal scorer. Which I suppose if you're looking at grand scheme of things, it's probably been no different all season. So, James, is that just then makes the two games even harder, doesn't it?
It does, but I think you just hit the nail on the head there right at the end. What you just said, I think, much as I think Charlie Kelman has worked very, very hard. With the best will in the world, he is not going to score us too many goals. He's certainly not going to get the goals that keep us in League One. He reminds me very much of Gary Mulligan from a few years ago. An absolute workhorse who will always give you 100%, but never, ever looks like he's going to hit the target or score a goal. So I don't actually think Charlie Kelman is a huge loss. I think you could almost throw anyone up there and they will probably do a similar job. Dixon Peters... I don't think we've seen enough of him to comment. To be honest with you, I think he's had a handful of minutes. Anything under Evans this season, I think you can write off straight away. I don't think that means anything. So he's had a handful of minutes under Neil Harris, and let's just see what he can do. Goal scoring wise, he can't really be much worse than Charlie Coleman. What's Charlie Coleman scored twice? Is it 2 goals he scored?
Yeah.
It's not enough. So you can really stick anyone up there with V, or you can let V, plough a furrow on his own, which for a lot of time he has been doing anyway. I don't think it's a big miss. If we were talking about Verdane Oliver now, it's a different story, isn't it? So I think the fact that it was Charlie Kelman out of the two of them that went, I much prefer Charlie Kelman to be gone for 3 games than Verdane Oliver. But yeah, it obviously it's another body, isn't it? That's we're down. I mean, Dan Phillips came in today, and a walking red card at the best of times. So, that was a surprise that he wasn't the one that went off as well. So it's another body down, which is frustrating. But I'm glad it's Kelman and not Verdane Oliver, because then we would be in serious trouble.
Yeah. And so anyway, that rounds it off nicely. It's not been a positive podcast this evening, but you can't be positive all the time. We've got 2 massive games in the next couple of weeks to see if the Gills can stay in League One. Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? For now, good night.